The only way I know of finding it is to drill.
Right now in Scurry County, Texas, a producing company is getting ready to do just that, drill a well. They're moving their rig into a territory where they know oil has already been found, but that's no guarantee that this particular well will come in. They still have to gamble equipment, supplies, men, and time, just on the chance of striking oil. Today, as men drill deeper and deeper to find the porous, oil-filled rock, a single well can cost up to $1 million. In the oil fields, some wells flow by themselves. Others have to be pumped. In many oil-producing states, each well produces under a field quota called an allowable, which is set by state authorities. Such scientific conservation methods mean progress, and nobody knows it better than the state conservation man who works with the oil companies.
That's right. You know, in the old days, sometimes as much as 2/3 of the crude they might have gotten was left underground. Taking out oil as fast as possible is inefficient and wasteful. Around here, you'll find wells 20 and 30 years old being reworked and oil being recovered. But in some places, the stuff's lost forever. Measuring and checking as I do every day, you don't find such waste going on now. In many modern fields, recycling plants process a lot of the natural gas that used to be wasted. These days, the gas goes through all this fancy equipment, and out of it comes chemicals, which are used in making cloth and paint and plastics and I don't know what all. If that's not progress, what is? Well, time to eat.
It's mealtime in the air, too. The airline passengers settling lunch trays in their laps can look down on the very farms that feed them. Farming has changed more in the last 50 years than it did in the previous 1,000. A farmer today can work 5 times the land his father worked and still have time for leisure that his father never knew. The petroleum that runs these modern hired hands has not confined progress in farming to the fields. Life is easier for the farm wife, too. For one thing, her woodpile is a thing of the past. To do her cooking and heating today, she can have liquefied petroleum gas delivered to the house by a local dealer. Petroleum does still other jobs that farmers would once have thought were miracles. Petroleum derivatives kill insects and plant diseases, speed the ripening of fruit, and preserve it on the way to market. Today, a farmer can fight the odds of nature instead of giving in to them. Each hour of the day, our oil-thirsty nation demands over 10 million gallons of petroleum products. Between these and the raw material from which they come, there has to be a factory. The refinery is that factory. Just a few decades ago, a refinery was a primitive still, making only kerosene. Today, some of these great plants employ thousands of people. To many an American community, their establishment and growth has meant new economic life. Listen.
My job is painting, keeping the outside of all these pipes and columns in good shape. I used to live here before the refinery was built. Hunted rabbits in the brush where those alkylation units are now. There wasn't much doing over in town then. A lot of folks were even fixing to move out. But then the company moved in and set up this refinery. That gave new life to the town, new jobs. It meant a lot. Now almost every family has someone in the oil business. You know, every day a lot of oil products move out of here. All the time I'm at work, there's one jobber's truck after another coming in to get filled up.
One of the biggest carriers of both crude oil and refined products is the modern tanker, which with speed and economy can deliver its cargo to any port in the 7 seas where it may be needed. The oil industry's own Navy is a vital factor in the security of our nation. This tanker sailing westward tonight from San Pedro, California, is carrying in her side and center tanks aviation gasoline, jet fuel, and diesel fuel. Some 5 million gallons in all. While the tanker is loading in California, a barge filled with home fuel oil has just left a refinery in Louisiana and is heading slowly upriver for the docks of an independent distributor. And at the same time, in the port of New York, the SS America is taking on over 800,000 gallons of bunker fuel. Since petroleum provides the power for both our ships of peace and for our ships of war, oil power means sea power for our nation. Power for the sea is also power for the land. More than any other country in the world, America is a nation on wheels. The automobile and the power behind it have been major factors in the growth of our country. We can drive anywhere we want to, at any time, for any reason, including fun. Out of the city into the country, down to the sea if we're inland, to the mountains if we live on the coast. To meet the demands of our over 36 million cars, oil canning plants also work around the clock. Together, we drive our cars 1 billion miles a day. It seems no other people in the world want so much just to get going when they have a little time. Maybe it's just that no other people can get going so easily. Every hour of the day finds oil men trying to make petroleum do more for us. The oil scientists and research laboratories are pace setters in the race of progress, working with products still unnamed and some that are still unthought of. With each new development of our inventive age, be it peaceful or otherwise, the petroleum industry is faced with a host of new problems. Our thousands of competing oil companies invest over $100 million every year in research. Each company's objective is the same: discover a new product, perfect it, and put it in production before the others do. They start with competition. What they create is progress. With the switch to another brand of gasoline, or with the purchase of a new detergent made from an oil byproduct, a company has lost a customer. Another company has gained a customer. It's as simple as that. What it comes down to is that the oil industry has to please Mrs. Martin and millions just like her. Already today, she's used some 87 petroleum products. including the plastic bacon wrapper and the wax of the milk carton. She'll top 100 before the day is over. Mrs. Martin is the customer, and the customer is the boss of the oil industry. This Tuesday's daylight has almost gone. Electric power stations are getting ready for the hour of peak load, that sudden increase in the demand for service which comes with the dark. Even though the old oil lamp is a thing of the past, oil still helps light up America. The air travelers from the west have crossed a whole continent since morning, but not for 1 mile or hour were they out of hearing of the men and women in the petroleum industry. Oil and the people who bring it to us are so much a part of our lives that they are everywhere. Our Tuesday is ending, and the country goes to bed. But everyone is not asleep. The traffic in front of Ed Felix's isn't very heavy now, but there's still someone on duty to give you service. At the refinery, the night shift has taken over on the stills and fractionating columns. Tanker is plowing on at 16 knots. On the bridge, the mate is checking the course to a port 7,000 miles away. At the well in the Gulf of Mexico, the drilling bit chewing at the rock beneath the bayou is 100 feet closer to oil than it was last night. At the Indian River pumping station, other grades of crude are in the line now, pushing ahead of them the shipment the refinery needs tomorrow morning. It's midnight again. Tuesday has waned and is gone. The pump does not know when midnight comes. Days are the same to it. It pumps from Tuesday into Wednesday without a halt. Each day, every day, it brings us another 24 hours of progress. Building our nation, guarding its security, assuring the future of America.